This video provides an introduction to the CM Logic JAS framework and Atlassian Jira connector. The purpose is to demonstrate the collaboration of tooling providing service management support and application lifecycle management support, ensuring that information is distributed efficiently. In this instance, we use the Atlassian Jira product as our issue management system and IBM Rational Team Consent, which is built on the JAS framework, to represent our application lifecycle management solution. The connector is connecting to the JAS framework rather than the application and can provide synchronization to any application built on the JAS framework. In the first instance, we need to create an issue within Jira. We need to assign it to a project and define the type of the issue. In this case, we'll assign it to the EclipseWare project and define it as a bug. We will then need to provide further details associated with our issue, including a summary of the problem, the priority, which we'll leave as default currently. We'll also leave the record unassigned at this time, and we'll add in a description. We can then create the record, which will allow Jira to assign a unique identifier. In this case, EclipseWare 104. And from this screen, we can see the information that we've just entered. For the purpose of this demonstration, we are automatically synchronizing our Jira issues with RTC upon creation. To show this, we can now switch to the RTC application running on the JAS framework. We're currently logged in as the administrator and are looking at the synchronization rule for the EclipseWare project. We will come back to this later in the demonstration. In the meantime, we need to validate that our new issue has been passed to RTC. We are looking to check that a work item has been created. So we refresh the work item summary and can see a new work item record. If we open the record, we can see that this has been assigned as a defect, number 94, and we can see the description that we entered as part of the issue. We can also see that the defect remains unassigned, but has a priority of medium. Our original priority was defined as major, but this has been transformed during the synchronization as we map values between the two systems. To demonstrate the synchronization further, we can return to the Jira interface and assign the issue to an individual. We would now expect this information to be updated within the RTC product. So if we look further at the record within RTC, we can see the Custom tab, and within this we can see the reference to the issue in the form of the Jira unique identifier. And if we look into the History tab, we can see the history associated with this defect. And from this we can see the information that was added on creation, but also that the record has been synchronized again and we were reviewing this information, and that the owner of the record has been updated. If we return to the main screen, we can see this in the body of the record. Further, we can update the defect in some way, perhaps to request further information from the originator for clarification, but here we'll just modify the description and save our changes. We would now expect this information to be updated within the Jira product. We will now look at the synchronization rules. You can see from the defect record that there is an external connection defined in the bottom left-hand corner. We can follow this link to determine the status of that connection, and from there we can review the mapping of fields defined in a defect with those defined for the external object, in this case the Jira issue. If you are quick, you will also note that the external description has yet to be updated with our change. Synchronization between the JAS framework is by default every 30 minutes. For the purposes of this demonstration, we have the synchronization operating a little more frequently. So, if we return to Jira, we can see that the issue has had its description updated with the information that we added as part of the RTC defect. In the same way that we can create an issue in Jira and link this with a record within a JAS-based application, in this case RTC, we can also create a record in the JAS-based application and link this with a Jira record. So if we return to RTC, we can create a new defect. We can provide a summary of the defect, as this is a mandatory field, We need to identify the project that we're working on, in this case our Eclipse Way project, and we need to provide a description of the defect. We can then save the record, which allows RTC to allocate a unique identifier, in this case defect 95. We can look at the synchronization rule defined as part of the Jazz Jira connector. As part of the rule, we map files between Jazz and an external system. This can define the mapping as one or two-way, allowing the synchronization to make information available as read-only or writable in either system, depending on your project needs. If we look at the type field in more detail, we can see the mapping of the values defined for this field and how they are handled. For instance, the values available within RTC allow type to be defined as either defect, enhancement, or task. These represent a bug, value 1, a new feature, value 4, or a task, value 3, within Jira, respectively. If we look at the left pane of the Eclipse shell, we can see the system configuration. For the Eclipse Way project, we have a single sync rule defined between a single Jazz and a single Jira project. However, we could define multiple rules allowing us to synchronize between multiple projects. For instance, single issue management system, in this case Jira, would connect to multiple software development projects managed by a Jazz-based application, allowing the service management function to receive external requests and route them to the correct project teams. We can see that we require only a simple set of configuration details to allow us to connect our external system to our Jazz-based application. In this case, the Jira server, connection details, and login parameters. To complete our demonstration, we return to the Jira issue management system to check that our defect created in RTC has arrived correctly. And we can see from the summary of all our Eclipse Way issues that we have a new record, Eclipse Way 105. If we review the issue, we can see the associated Jazz reference data, in this case 95, referring to the defect number that was allocated to our development bug, and if we return to RTC and review our defect 95, we can also see on the Custom tab the reference to the Jira issue Eclipse Way 105. That concludes this introduction to the CM Logic, Jazz Framework and Atlassian Jira connector. If you require further information on the connector or any other CM Logic product or service, please feel free to contact us. Thank you.